Wants to record. Says we're recording.
Are we recording?
That's all.
All right. Allison, you hear me? Lisa, you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right, let us begin then. So here is our first discussion item for the day for our Public Works Committee meeting. And as you know, at the next council meeting, these are going to become the official meetings from now on. This and finance and public safety, and that will be coming to council. But for this, we are going to start off with some of the pressing items that are impacting our Public Works Department, impacting the city. And we're going to start with our erosion on the south end. So as you all know, I'm sure from Facebook photos and everything else, we've been doing continuous mitigation work, serious work that's been on the berm in February 12th and 13th, and then over the last couple of weeks, we've had to pick that up. To date, the city has spent about $155,000 on the berm, but not all of our purchase orders have been paid and finalized in the street department. So we are anticipating our costs for this season, if this was indeed the last storm, to be about $220,000. Now, council, as you all know, on council set aside $500,000 for erosion. The good news is the city is in line, so that's about half of the money set aside for erosion that we've already spent. The good news is we're in line for a possible reimbursement of at least $127,000. As the state of Washington recognized this as an emergency for Grays Harbor County. Last Friday, Jay Inslee issued an emergency proclamation relating to the extreme winter weather we had in January. So that means the reason why we can't recoup all of our money, if you're asking that question, why can I get the whole $220,000 we spent? It's because right now this emergency proclamation is only going to allow us to recoup money from that January storm. And I think that actually ran into a couple days in February. But so we still can't get that money back for what we're spending now. But Grays Harbor was specifically mentioned as a result of the storm, temperatures and heavy rainfall and coastal flooding. It crossed the threshold, proclamation 2402, by the governor crossed the threshold of $30 million. And once it crosses $30 million, the governor can declare a state of emergency, and then the city can access that funding. And that is what we are doing. So we will be working with the Grays Harbor Center, County Emergency Management System, and with the Washington State Department of Emergency Management Operations to attempt to get those monies reimbursed. And we are really hoping, as I said, this is the last storm of the season, and we will not have to address this issue until next year, but obviously that's never a guarantee with our weather patterns. The mayor does have our project manager looking into another solution that we could use next year. It's going to require some permitting and some lifting, and I want to go into it right now simply because it's a little too early to go into that, but we do have something that might help alleviate or mitigate that erosion that's going to be much better than super sacks that we're using now. And for those of you who are just kind of listening at home, if you recall what happened with this, originally we put super sacks out that were filled with sand, and we did this not because we weren't thinking it through, but that's because all that ecology would authorize for us. After those sacks failed and were sort of drug out to sea and mitigated, they allowed us to go to a harder substance, which is when we started using the rock cobble. So it's been a process. Ecology learned along the way, and like I said, we're hoping this is mitigated. We have a possible medium-term answer. The long-term answer, which is the sort of replacement, is what's called the remnant jetty. That's a far different discussion, but I will give you an update during the city council meeting after this public works meeting on the jetty itself. Sorry, I'm confusing my roles here. A couple other things. Pocket Park update. The city will be working with volunteers on April 1st to install our new Pocket Park at the entrance of the Heidens Trail. The park is expected for a grand opening on April 24th. There will be a dedication by the Sons of the American Revolution. We will present a park bench and we will dedicate that to the veterans of Ocean Shores and the veterans of Grays Harbor. And then of course, it will be a 3-tiered park. And it will come the Razor Clan sculpture and a memorial bench And just because I am reading quickly does not mean I didn't forget, or I did forget, actually. Did council have any questions so far on either the erosion issue or the pocket park update?
No.
Lisa? Okay, just wanted to make sure, because I realize that with the erosion issues, there's a number of things that come with that. And I'll put this proclamation by the governor on the website as well, so people can see that regarding the January winter storms and what the criteria is to be able to access that funding. Another small public works project, but it's an important one, is the sidewalk at the Shiloh entrance, or at the side of the Shiloh that ends abruptly. It doesn't connect to the High Dunes Trail, it sort of stops about 30 to 40 feet before that trail. The city is working with Simmons and Sons Construction, and we expect to have that sidewalk finished prior to the new park opens on April 24th. The area immediately in front of that will then be striped. We'll put in handicap parking access, and you will be able to take a wheelchair or any kind of vehicle like that from the convention center straight to the Dune Trail and get on the Dune Trail the whole way being on sidewalks and not having to go out into the road. So that's another project that we are working on. Chinook Playground update. There is a bid out right now for the Chinook Park to have a new sidewalk installed prior to the building of the the installation of the playground equipment. The work for the sidewalk is being bid, and we expect to have everything completed prior to May 15th. The sidewalk will make the playground area accessible to wheelchairs. The ground cover in the playground area will be ADA compliant. And we are working with the playground manufacturer to schedule the playground and the Parks Department is going to be working on getting volunteers to help assemble that equipment. And obviously Ricky, as I told him, as we have a public works man, is not supposed to be calling me. And there will also be wheelchair accessible swing we made available. And we are putting in a fence that will go the whole way along the outskirts of the park on Duck Lake Drive there, because we are very concerned people's pets get out, or people are playing soccer out there in that field, that we want to make sure that we can mitigate that hazard, having a fence up that will make it so individuals can't run out into the middle of the field, or can't run out into the middle of the street from the field. Any questions on that?
No.
All right. Whale in the Roundabout, same thing. Tony Robinson, as you know, we have this beautiful sculpture. The installation of the whale and the Razor Clan sculpture is out to bid, and we hope to have a contract that we can move the whale into and mount it onto a concrete pad in the middle of the roundabout again prior to March 25th. So that will look extremely beautiful. And then I have two other issues, one slightly complicated, one fairly simple, and I'll start with the complicated one. And that's not on our agenda, but I think that because the mayor and I have had a long talk with the Army Corps of Engineers, it's good for council and the public to be brought up to date. As you know, the U.S. Army Corps and the Port of Grays Harbor received about almost $15 million through a combination of appropriations, but almost $11 million from the bipartisan infrastructure law to rebuild our North Jetty. And Derek Kelmer was very instrumental in helping us get that money. And the overall scope of this project is to restore the 7,500 feet of the North Jetty and bring it to a height of 23 feet, which will be the highest it's been in a great many years. The project, however, is taking longer than the Corps originally thought it would. It's probably going to be another 2.5 years before it is absolutely complete. And there's a number of reasons for that. There's a complicated, and you think that we have it bad in the city. I cannot believe a federal agency can't push this through faster, but there's a complemental package of environmental plans and specifications that they need to draft, and they do not anticipate that all of that will be signed and done prior to March 25. They hope to issue an award in the solicitation on April of 25, and they hope to begin work around May or June to rebuild the North Jetty. In May, June of 25, and that work, the contractor will, at that point, they can procure the rock, they can start building the access roads, probably around July, and they estimate from the start to completion, somewhere around October of 2027, the North Jetty will be entirely rebuilt, to a height it hasn't been built to before, just a little higher. But this is extremely important for us and for the port. For the port, it's important because these are navigable waters and they need it for navigation. But to us, in addition to the erosion issues, it's also where our wastewater treatment plant is. The jetty hooks around the back of that wastewater treatment plant on the back side. And right now, we haven't had any breaches recently, but we've had water breaches, slight ones in the past. But if that is not rebuilt, it is become a danger, a long-term danger of being breached, and we absolutely need to make sure that does not happen. And so hopefully with this project, that will mitigate that risk. Any questions on the North Jetty?
What did you say, Scott? What's the height now? You said it will go to 23 feet, but what did you say, 17?
I don't know what the actual height is at this particular moment. I know that parts of it were constructed to be, I believe, 21 feet. And they want to raise that. From what it was, the last time it was rebuilt, I have it in my notes, I think it was in the, I'd be guessing, because they rebuilt it in 3 different sections. I can pull that, I'll pull those notes and I'll add them to
That's okay, I heard you say something and I missed the first part of it.
Yeah.
How many feet of the jet, how long is the jetty? Did you mention that? Is that what it is?
It's 7,500 feet long.
That's it, thank you. That was what I needed. Sorry,
Yep.
thanks.
And it is gonna be a huge project, and we're talking about massive boulders. That are gonna be going down in placement, and then, collecting the easements for that. And there's a whole host of permitting that comes to that, because whenever you're working in the shoreline and the waterways, there's overlapping jurisdictions. There's the Environmental Protection Agency that has jurisdiction once you get out to sea, and you've got the Department of Natural Resources, which has, the harbor and the river there. So there's just a whole host of things they have to go through on the permitting side before they can start working. But the fact that with and all the effort of the Army Corps of Engineers to move this to fruition, and it's still gonna take them that long, you can see what that kind of implies between the lines for the construction of the remnant jetty. And they told me something I did not know during this meeting. The remnant jetty was actually a jetty that wasn't constructed to be a true jetty. It was constructed to serve as a vehicle so they could deliver rocks and materials to the jetty as it now stands. So it was never really designed and function as a navigational structure, but they needed to build that in order to use the technology that they built the original jetty. So it's gonna be a real hard push to get that done, which is why we're looking at alternative short-term solutions to mitigate that erosion. And as I said, we'll come back to that. Becky's doing a little research on it right now. And then lastly, of course, although you would never guess, I think it's the first day of spring today, I think, is that correct? Or tomorrow? Or is it yesterday?
21st is usually.
Alright, so it's the first day of spring, but you never know if you went outside, they're gonna track meet, it's pouring down rain, and it's nasty. But the spring cleanup is upon us, April 24th, the 28th. The mayor has decided, and I really support this decision a great deal, that we're gonna do it at the Public Works Yard. We're not gonna go back to the voucher system. There simply are too many people who can't access LeMays. They don't have trucks, they can't get there. There are too many people that are elderly. So it's just a problem for them to move things. So 2 things you can do, if you truly cannot move your own things, either for physical disability reasons, or simply just, it becomes too much of a burden to do, you can call and schedule a home pickup. And the Public Works Department, the Street Department will come and pick up those things for you. This should be done in advance and preferably well prior to the 24th, so we're not assigning them things at the last minute. But you can call 360-289-2824 to schedule a home pickup. If that's, the other thing you can do, if your council members and people approach you, just have them email me. And I'll be happy to forward them I'll be happy to get it to the right place to get it picked up. But a reminder, spring cleanup is intended for individual property owners. It's not for commercial dumping, and we're doing it at the Public Works Yard again at 165 Ocean Lake Way. We will have signs posted everywhere so everyone knows where to go. And it will be the full kind of 4.5 day period for people to allow them to do that. And that's really all I have, unless the council has questions. Becky could not be with us today. She has a different appointment that she had to take care of. She will be back next time, but that's my update for now. Council?
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything.
All right, well, that concludes our Public Works meeting for March 21st.
Right?
Thank
Thanks for
you.
Thank you.
So, Scott, I have a few questions.